What's going on? What's going on, people? It's Monday. It's 9 o'clock, and I am back at it. Listen, I'm excited about today's broadcast. It might not be a long broadcast. And hold on, before I do this, because I don't know how many people I've told. Sometimes I did a show for 30 minutes once, and my volume, my sound wasn't working. Okay, it is. It's on. Let me turn that off. Let me turn this off. However you turn it off. I think you turn it off, yeah. Okay, cool. Let's get started, man. First off, I want you to give your boy a round of applause. Huge round of applause. On Saturday, I got underneath 200 pounds. It's probably been about, it's been over a year. It's been over a year. Of course, a lot of you know, and I did a whole segment in August in regards to health and fitness, as I decided to take control of my health and fitness coming out of this pandemic, coming out of, the death of my mother, etc. I learned so many things. And it was interesting because I was listening to The Godfather, St. Kevin Samuels, and a young lady came on there and she was talking about her weight. And so he said she was saying that she, health issues and etc. And there were a lot of excuses essentially. And one of the things that she said was that her metabolism was dormant. So I wanted to take a time because I reached that benchmark. I want to take some time to talk about real quick, very briefly about this dormant metabolism, because it is something. Like there's times when you're not eating that much, could possibly eating some pretty good things. Of course, your diet is probably not really locked in, and it's not locked in for any period of time. And it's not like that for a period of time because most people stop because they don't really see the results. And we're going to kind of get into that a little bit later. A lot of people don't see the results of it. So if you haven't done anything for years, let's say for 25 years, even when as a child, your parents didn't really feed you the best foods, a lot of processed foods, a lot of McDonald's. We're starting to see a lot of this happening with this generation that came up with 91, 92. So I think that's kind of like the end of millennials, early, what's the next generation? It's not X, it's Y, or Zennials, I don't know. Anyways, the generation after millennials, we were introduced to McDonald's at around that time. So a lot of us really ate a lot of processed foods, really quick foods, microwavable foods. We wanted our food and we wanted it now. So if you're doing that for 20 plus years, your liver is shot. Of course, your metabolism is shot. If you weren't playing any sports, a lot of us have went to a sedentary lifestyle. So what's going on now is that our liver is shot, and so your metabolism essentially has become dormant. So it does take some time for you to get it back into position, and this is going to take time. It's going to take time, and it's going to take work, and it's going to take effort. People ask me, like, what did you do to take off the weight? I think I'm probably taking off over 45 something pounds, right? What did you do to take off the weight in the last couple of months, in the last 4, 5, 6 months? And I told them everything. Everything had to change. And then really in July, I even had to take away the sugar and I took away caffeine. I introduced caffeine back in September. I'm not a really happy person without caffeine, and I went about a month and a half without caffeine. So in maybe the first or second week of September, I introduced caffeine back. I feel a lot happier after I get my caffeine fix. I'm not taking as much caffeine, but I have introduced caffeine back into the mix. So it's going to take time. You got to give it at least 3 months. You got to give it at least 3 months to jumpstart your system. Your liver is one of those organs that can be regenerated. And I'm trying to help you out, people. Your liver can be regenerated. It takes 3 years, which I don't think is long, especially if you took 25, 26, 27. I think the young lady was 29. So we're talking about, 25, 26, 27 years of not eating well. Of course, that's one thing. The next thing is definitely your surroundings and your people, man. Your surroundings and your people. When you get around people who are not telling you the truth, and I'm going to dive in on that as well during this broadcast. When you are getting around people that are not truthful to you and tell you that you are fine the way that you are, and you are noticeably unhealthy, and you're unhealthy, like me. I'm going to use myself as an example. I knew certain things weren't right. I knew I was out of breath if I ran, 20 meters or 20 yards or something. I'm putting in effort. And even then, like we know. And the sad part about it is that you can get so comfortable in being unhealthy. You can get so comfortable in being unhealthy that it just seems the norm. And then if you are around other people who are unhealthy and they're telling you look good and there's nothing wrong and that's just the way it is, it compounds the situation, because now you're living in let me take this off. I'm not Joe. So you're living around, you're constantly in this silo, which is another thing that's going on with the social media, is that we tend to live in this silo, and it's just and I think they call it an echo, but it's just the same thing coming, and it's telling you that you're right. You're not right, and I'm telling you, people, it's so much better on the healthy side. So I've been going away from a lot of things where I don't miss a lot of things. I see it every now and then. That's another thing. I had to stop following certain channels on Instagram that may entice me to cheat, or not cheat, just eat unhealthy. And you can have it every now and then. Like, you don't necessarily have to do it with me. It may take a little bit, do it like me. It may take a little bit longer. Instead of losing 10 pounds a month, 8 pounds a month, you may do 4 to 6 pounds a month. You may do 3 pounds a month, but it's about doing things in moderation. Or you can be very, very strict during the week and then have your Saturdays. But I suggest at least a 2-week period of eating clean, pretty good. You know what that is. Like, there's your vegetables, your proteins. I would even cut away some of the complex carbs. So you do some vegetables and do some proteins and good fat. Avocado. If you don't like avocado, go get you some pecans or some walnuts and take a handful of those if you can handle that. Real simple things. Life tends to be very simple. We complicate it, and it's not. And it wasn't easy. I can't tell you it was an easy journey. Of course, like I said, I was hell bent on losing 10 pounds a month. And I think another thing that kept me higher as well was I wanted to keep my strength. Now, most women don't want to squat 315 pounds. They don't need to bench press, 275, 285, close to 300 pounds. Like most people don't want to do that, right? It's an ego thing for me. And deadlift a lot. Like today, I deadlifted 465. I felt good. I'm under 200 pounds. I'm deadlifting over 400 pounds. Like, I feel good. If I didn't do all that, I probably would be at like 185, 190 right now. But I like to keep my strength just in case. I'm a protector, man. I gotta stay ready. I have to stay ready. Cool. So let's go into what I want to get into, because and all of this starts with that. I noticed that at the beginning of this month, I started talking about building a foundation. Okay, building a solid foundation, because we need to build a solid foundation as we become solid people. We need to build a solid foundation as we become solid people. And building a foundation takes work. However, on Friday at 6:30, Joel Simmons and I do a show, Community Beacon. Shouts out to Joel Simmons, the motivatorpreneur on TikTok. You can also find him on LinkedIn. Joel came up with a framework as we were talking about marital relationships. And before he, and as a part of his framework, he started talking about the prepping. And it was like an aha moment. It was an aha moment. Well, he called it grounding, the grounds. But essentially it's prepping. You got to prep the grounds. And that's what's missing. You see, before you put in the concrete and you lay the concrete, which is your foundation for your home, you have to prep the ground. Before you can even bring the truck in to pour the concrete, you have to get in, you have to have it inspected. They want to see the rebar. They want to see the soil. They want to make sure that it's pitched correctly. So before you can even start the foundation, you have to prep the ground. So I call it the prep work. Now, what is the prep work? Go back to Joel's example. When you first start digging in a certain place to build this house, before you even put in the foundation, you start digging place, you're going to find that the soil may not necessarily be the correct grade. You're going to go in there, you may see a lot of stones. It may be a lot of sand. There's all kinds of things that's going on in this ground that you have to start to prep before you even bring in the concrete to build your foundation. And I thought this was an aha moment. Now, after Joe spoke about it, of course, a little bit later on that weekend, I listened to some the Godfather, Kevin Samuels, and he also gave this example of building homes, etc. I said, you know what? That groundwork, that mindset work is incredible. It's that working on yourself so that you can start beginning to build a solid foundation. It's the working on yourself. Now, you see what I have written down, the prep work and the problems. Why people don't want to do the prep work? Why don't we want to do the prep work? Why don't we want to get our minds correct in order to build this great life that we want to lead? And that's because it takes time. Not only does it take time, but it's not glamorous. I would say we don't mind if it took time. We could just jump straight into that luxury vehicle, or we can already be in that house because we want to see these things like that. That's the thing. Most of us, in order for us to stay motivated, we have to see something. We can't lose the weight, and we come up with all these different excuses as why we can't lose the weight, because we don't. For some of us, for them first 2, 3, 4 weeks, we don't see anything. That scale doesn't move. In fact, if you're lifting weight, the scale might go up because the fat is still there. It's what we're going to call stubborn fat. That's that liver. Your liver's shot, and then on top of that, you're putting muscle on top of that. So now that scale may go up. So what does that do to a person who wants to lose weight? That demotivates most people. And within that first week to 2 weeks, you're done. Not only that, the problems is the mental anguish the physical anguish that happens when you start lifting or doing things that you haven't done in a while. If you go from a sedentary lifestyle into the gym, go get yourself a trainer. I highly recommend it. I remember the first time when I started with the city, and I think I was at that time I was like 280, and I started lifting weights, and it was me and Beethoven. I can never forget, and he laughs about it to this day. We would go in there, we would do a lot of bench presses. You know, we all in there getting out bench, right? Everybody want to do bench presses, and we were doing burnouts for the bench presses. And when we did the burnouts for the bench presses, like 3 days or 4 days later, I have what they call DOMS, delayed onset muscle something. I don't know what that stands for, but it's like delayed onset muscle. Let me tell you something. I was ready to go to the hospital. He laughs about it. I was like, yo, I think I need to go. I couldn't move my arm like this. I knew there wasn't anything wrong because when I started doing cardio and I got the blood pumping to it, I could actually move it. But like laying down and just being still and no blood was pumping, like my arm was, I couldn't drop my arm. Same thing happened when we came back from summer for football practice for those 2 days. Yeah. Your groin is hurting because you're moving muscles that weren't moved for, for sometimes it was 2 months, but most of us haven't moved a lot of these muscles for years. I'm talking about 10, 20, 30 years. So guess what? As you start to prep, you're going to come up against a lot of pain. And I'm talking in regards to weightlifting, but when we start talking about our life and our mindset, it's more than just the physical pain. Excuse me. It's more than just the physical pain. You start to get this emotional pain. You get spiritual pain because, and I'm going to go back to it, and I'm always going to go back to this. Some people around you aren't at the place that you are at. They don't want to see change. And so when you start moving and they start seeing change, and Lord knows, even when you start to see just a little bit, or you going to work out, there's all these questions like, I can't believe you're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go work out. That's crazy. Like you can just sleep. Like there's that support is not there, especially from people that let me see some of these comments, especially from people, Tara, what's going on? Especially from people that are around you, because most people, and it may be a subconscious thing, they don't want to see you do better than them, especially when we're all operating on lower vibrations. When we're operating on lower vibrations. Shouts out to Tara Denise. Mindset equals emotional pain and spiritual pain. Yeah. Emotional, spiritual, mental. Getting up do you think it's easy for me to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get myself prepared for the day? Do you not think that there are a million things going through my mind? Do you not think at sometimes that there's not necessarily that support there for me to get out of bed? Shoot, when my mother didn't understand it. God bless her heart. God bless her soul. May she rest in peace. My mother didn't understand it. She used to ask me questions like, what? Like, why are you getting up? Then even when I started getting some muscles, getting you little muscles, she told me, man, those muscles are ugly. I mean, your parents don't want to see you go through certain things like that. So I can understand it from her point of view. I'm not blaming her. However, this is my mother. So if she's not supporting that, because she doesn't understand it. She came from a place where I used to say when I was in the gym, I said, my grandfather must be rolling around in his grave saying, we are actually paying to do work. They came from the farm life. My mother, especially, like, you're paying to go to the gym. I think eventually later on in life, she started figuring out, like, yeah, because she was even talking about getting a gym membership. But I, as the man, had to lead that. She had to see me doing it. And if my father did it, she probably would have fell behind him as well. Starts with the man and ends with the man. I'll say it 1,000 times. I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. I love you, gentlemen, but we're gonna talk about it eventually. We're gonna talk about it. We listen to Kevin Samuels and all you know, for whatever reason. I don't know why you listen to it, but some of us are taking it the wrong way. Because while he's talking to them, you should really be talking to yourself. A lot of these conversations, them same conversations he's having with him, with people who call up to a show, you need to be having with yourself. What is going on with you? Because a lot of you aren't in the best shape financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, whatever. And you thinking it's a joke? Oh yeah, he's talking about them. No, he's talking about you. Check yourself. I got to check myself every time. I'm listening for me. I can't do nothing about some people. You know, you hope some people get it, but that's not up to us. Anyway, so let me go on. So the problem, these are some of the problems that happen while we're going through this prep work. It's this mindset. That's why we have these money mindset problems. We can't see it. That's why I tell you every time, go get yourself a coach. You need someone who can get you out of the way of you. Or who can allow you, who can show you how you're getting in your own way. Because you have to get out of the way of you. You have to actually make the movement happen. You have to make the movement happen. And I think that kind of went into my, as I get into the second part, is like, because I'm a solution oriented. That's why I said I'm not going to stay on here too much longer. A lot of this is too much for people. This is, your mind just automatically shuts down. Take note of that. Maybe I need to preface my shows with that at the beginning. Whenever you start to see that your mind starts to shut down, take notice of that. What is Michael talking about? When I start to nitpick at certain things, when I start to look at certain things in Mike's background, I know y'all check out the studio. Studio's looking pretty good. We're getting there. Elijah said to call it the lab. We're calling it the lab. Me and him are going to share this studio or lab, as he calls it. But start to check in with yourself. Where am I checking out at? So essentially, we're going to start to get into solutions. Now, there's a verse in the Bible. It says, my people shall perish. My people shall perish for lack of understanding. Is that the verse? Let me make sure. You all give me a moment. Excuse me, I'm not understanding. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. For lack of knowledge. You all are going to get the knowledge here tonight, right? Because I fully believe that we're all doing the best that we can with what we have. With what we have. However, the roadblock in it is that we can't play this victim's Olympics game. And this is for my people. And who are my people? People who are listening to this. Share this too. Please share it. People, you'll know my voice. They'll hear my voice. My people will hear my voice. So we're doing the best we have with what we have. Okay, so it doesn't stop there. Because because now we'll perish because of lack of knowledge, which means that we should get understanding. While you're get understand. That's also a Bible verse. You go look it up. And what happens is that we start to operate on this lower frequency, and I do too. We're all operating on these lower frequencies because we're just doing the best we can with what we have, which tends to be on a lower frequency. That's the frequency of survival. We're all operating on the frequency of survival. And so in order for us to get out of the frequency of survival, what we have to do is we have to reach out and start looking at people who are thriving. Start to model yourself after people who are thriving. Get out of that lower frequency. And one of the best ways and probably the most effective ways out of getting away out of that low frequency is to check the people that are around you. Yeah, Mike is going back to that again. Uncle Mike is going back. Yes, I am. Think about it. Think about when you're happiest and when you're doing okay. Think about that phone call that comes in. Who's calling you? Think about every time you do have a phone call with someone. How do you feel when you get off the phone? Do you feel energized? Or do you feel like dragging? Are you dragging? Okay, every once in a while, because we all have our issues, but if this is happening time after time, you need to check that. Think about your frequency 30 minutes after you get up, after you have your coffee. What is that like? What is that like? What are some things that you need to do? You need to do some prep work. And so here's the one of the easiest solutions, besides getting these people out of your corner, is also seeking counseling. Go seek counsel. Go seek good counsel. When I say that, and the interpretation of that is go find you a coach, go find you a mentor. See what they're doing, what they're talking about. Okay, we have to stop operating out of these lower frequencies. Get around, and you can just listen to some of these people could be your mentors on the internet. Go find someone on YouTube that you can listen to that rejuvenates you. I have several mentors, and I pay, or I have paid several of them. Some of them I paid is my first initial investment, and that's for life. I can always go back to them. But some of you are scared to invest in yourself. Appreciate you, Tara. I don't know. Appreciate you. Appreciate it. Stop operating on these lower frequency levels with these lower frequency people. And it is bad. It is bad. Stop hanging around these people, man. Stop hanging around these people. And if you have to pay to get away from these people, go pay to get away from these people. Toastmasters is $150 to $200 a year. Go join a Toastmasters group. Go join the Palm Beach Toastmasters group. I can vouch for them and give my seal of approval. I was the president of that group. Involved 5, 6 years, 5, 6 years, something like that. And I'll go back. I plan on going back. Go and find these people and go see what's going on. Go on Meetup. There's an app called Meetup. Go on Meetup. Go look for something. A dance class. Go learn how to salsa. Go learn how to flamenco. I don't know. Get out of there. The only thing I'd advise against is the earthy people, because it's interesting. I don't want to get you all too crazy out of your spiritual things, because a lot of us have been indoctrinated. We all have at a young age. That's a little bit deeper. Wait on that right now. Keep going to your shame. I almost lied to you. Okay, go to your church. Go to church. Go to church but when you leave church, understand how you feel when you leave. Look at the people. Are the people in church miserable? Are they gossiping? Fia's laughing. Church is tough here. It's tough. Listen, are they gossiping? I was going to a church. Y'all probably already know. I haven't been to many. And what I did was, while I was going through this period in life, right? While I was going through this period in life, is I didn't talk to anybody. I went after the what is it? The pass the peace. That's where you had to go around and greet people and all that. I went after pass the peace. It sounds bad. And I left like that. when that benediction came, it was like ready, set, go. Like you had pop. I was out the door. I don't want to hear about Sister Mary's situation. I don't want to hear about I don't. Is the message you talking the message that I want, and I don't necessarily. It doesn't necessarily lead to prosperity gospel. I get into that at some point in time because that's also a problem. That prosperity gospel, it's a problem. It's keeping us stuck. You see, just develop your own relationships. Just develop your own. I want just your own relate with God, 1000%. And you don't even have to go to church to do that. I like to go because I like to hear a knowledgeable speaker. We have a guy that came down, or there used to be a guy that used to pastor. I don't think he's no longer in Palm Beach. Was Luigi Chekwa. Luigi was off the chain. He was giving it to you. No, he was younger than me. He was giving it to you no straight, no chaser. He was good. He was dead on. Listen, you're gonna get some money out of me when Luigi preach, because he's telling the truth. But if he's preaching that other stuff, then I'm taking my coins and I'm going home, and I give it to a homeless person. Because it's going to the same place. Anyway, long story short, I say because like I said, a lot of us have already been indoctrinated. It's because I know I am and was, I'm still working through a lot of that stuff. So, continue. I don't even want you to go that deep into it at this point in time. I don't want you going on the corner. Look how many people get sidetracked when they start to get on the road to having doing the prep work and get a mental mindset, and they get sidetracked, and all of a sudden they just all gospel trying to interpret it and then trying to figure out different things in the gospel, and you don't even have a solid anything. So I said all that because I don't want people to get sidetracked with what you got to do, because eventually, as you do this prep work, you're going to feel it. What's going on? Oh, there go Joe. What's going on, Joe? My brother Joe. Joe talks about, he came in at the right time. Joe talks about that sixth sense. So as you continue down the line, you're going to start to develop that discernment, right? You're going to develop that discernment of what what's being told you, what's right and wrong, but not for you, and what to avoid and what not to avoid as you go along. Not to saying that you're not going to fall. You're going to make all the right decisions. No, that's furthest from the truth. What's going to happen is you're going to start to figure out right and wrong. Indoctrination is real. I'm working through that as well. Sheesh. We all are, and we'll continue to do it. We'll continue to do it. The whole world is indoctrinated with something, right? So it's about getting to that age where we become aware of it and start to saying, okay, I need to start developing this sixth sense. I need to start doing this prep work on it, right? These are the solutions to it. So the solutions are going to start with the people. That's number one. Get away from them. They'll tell you, oh, you shouldn't work out every day. How you gonna tell me? I hear you. Okay, you right. That's me. You right. You're right. Let me get this in though. Let me get this in. So be careful about the thing, and you start to feel it. I'm giving you a tip. Like I said, a tip for me in regards to discernment, developing that sixth sense, as Joe talks about, is definitely going to help you along your journey of getting to it. We can't even start talking about foundation. I started talking about foundation. I had when I had that conversation with Joel, when Joel gave out that his framework in regards to marriage and relationship, which kind of marriage, personal relationships, business relationships, yourself relationship with yourself. A lot of these things kind of go together. There's different nuances within each one, but a lot of that starts with yourself, but all they kind of go together. So if you're not, we can't even start talking about foundation. He spoke about the foundation. You can't start a foundation if you're in a relationship with somebody else, when you haven't done the prep work, which is what she calls the grounds, the work on yourself first. Because if you did the work on yourself first, you realize that some of the people that you're getting involved with, personal, business, etc., aren't for you. You all are operating on totally different spectrums. The ethics aren't there. The money might be there. It's times when I'm around people who have a lot of money, around people, millionaires, and I'm not doing work with you. All money is not good money. But if you don't do the groundwork or the prep work to understand that, you're going to jump in bed with this person who has long money, and then it's going to, but may not necessarily have the ethics, or they don't operate on the same code that you operate on. You're going to get yourself involved in certain things, and you're going to be the one holding the bag at the end of the day. Listen, people, I didn't do housekeeping. Get my likes. Give me some likes, man. Give me some likes and share this stream if you think it's adding any value. I get up in the morning, and one of the things that one of my mantras is that I like to add value and I want to extract value. Please share and like. That's a real quick housekeeping that I stop in the middle of that stream or in the middle of that rant / thought. So I think I appreciate you, Fia. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you. Listen, me and Fia go back. This is Suncoast alumni, the Suncoast. Appreciate you. So at the end of the day, when a brother says at the end of the day, I'm wrapping it up. In conclusion, we need to start working on this prep work and this growth. Some of us we need to go seek some counseling. A lot of us need some counseling. I said everybody needs to go at least see it. Start going to seek this counseling. Start to get around some different, diverse group of people. Start to develop that sixth sense, as Joel talks about it, the spirit of discernment, and then we can all start moving this in that direction. Let me tell you why this stream is so important for me, and it was. Today I was doing it today, and then it was like, okay, you have to talk about it, is because I coach people, especially getting them in business and definitely real estate, but I counsel people in real estate, but I coach people in business. So at the beginning in November, December, I had a couple clients, and they had their consultation with me. Hour consultation. Pay for it. I'm not cheap either. I'm not cheap to sit there for that, because I'm doing a lot of prep work leading up to that consultation. And so every time I have a consultation with someone, when we leave, there's just depending on the person, depending on the person and where they are, I never have more than 3 things for a person to do. And these things that I have you to do are like the simplest things. It's some very, very simple things, steps in order for you to move on to the next level, right? And if you do this in December, by 6-8 months, sometimes it's a year, sometimes 2 years, but let's just say I'm thinking of someone in particular, but 6 to 8 months down the line, you should have X, X, and O. This is where you should be. Because guess what? As long as God allows us to be here, the time is going to happen anyways, right? And if you're in good health, and not good health, if you're in health, if you get allowed to move around, etc., then a lot of these things can be done. Heck, some of these things can be done even if you're not necessarily in the best health. You can take some time off, etc. But it's some simple things, and then we'll do some checkups month to month. And I start to notice when people start to fall off, when those monthly checkups don't happen. You're not calling in. You're not checking in. It's not even calling. It's like sending emails. Like, I did this, that, and the third. So I have some people who are at 8 months who are ready to go, have saved up tens of thousands of dollars, who have made tens of thousands of dollars, who are moving in this certain direction. They're ready to go. And then you get phone calls, etc., from certain people who are still talking about, now they talking about, I don't know, 2-3 years in the future. Like, we're not, come on, man. And the reason why is because I'm, from the business aspect of it, I'm giving you these foundational things, these principles in which you can take to move forward. But you can't move forward on these principles and these foundational things if your mindset isn't correct. You will figure out a way. You will figure out a way how to mess these things up. Self-sabotage is what it's called. And I'm telling you this because I've done it. I've done it. So that's how I know. It's not like I'm being condescending. Like, oh, these people can't. I'm not being condescending. I've been in that situation. So because I've been in that situation, I know it can be overcome. And it can be overcome once we start to identify these things. But here's the thing. What's gotten you to where you've gotten to where you are by the best thing, your best thing has gotten you to where you are. Appreciate you, Tara. Appreciate you, Tara. Shouts out to you. I know you're on to doing bigger and better things. You're getting around some good people. You're getting around some good people. Your best thinking has gotten you to where you are. Shouts out for you. Again, agree. Mindset and discipline, very important. Major key. It's huge. You get this mindset and this discipline right, what you want to do may not even be necessarily what it is that you want to do. Some of us are jumping into businesses. Some of us have ego businesses. Ain't making a dollar. Everything goes to overhead. You're not making no money. I can't understand the point of getting in business without making money. And here was something too. And I'm gonna tell you an exact example of when I had a guy who came to me maybe about 9-10 years ago. Successful guy, had just sold his part in a business, had not an NDA. He had a non-compete agreement to where he couldn't start up that same business within this area for I think it was 3 years. I don't know, it was like 3 or 5 years. I can't remember the exact amount of time. But he had enough money that was going to take him to retirement if he wanted to. They just didn't want him to start a competing business. He had to go somewhere else to do that. And he was like, he said, we spoke on the phone for a while. His name was Bob. We spoke on the phone for a while, and he said, man, you know what? I like you. He said, you know what you should do? He said, you should start working in insurance. He said, you should do insurance. You should start selling insurance. I didn't even get the chance to ask him what kind of insurance he was talking about. I didn't get a chance to ask him whether it was life insurance, whether it was like for a housing car, whatever the case may be. I didn't get a chance to ask about it because in my mind, it wasn't glamorous. It wasn't glamorous. Let me tell you something. Insurance is like one of the, if you can sell stuff because it's needed, and people who aren't operating at a low frequency, let's talk about life insurance. You have to have it. If you're operating at a low frequency, you're talking about fish fries. I'm not donating to a fish fry. I'm not donating to a GoFundMe. All right, I'm being very tough. I'm not, but I'm so anti-fish fry and so anti-GoFundMe. But so insurance is something that you have, and when you're younger, when we understand that it costs $30-something, $40-something to have term life insurance that's going to take care of your family when you're gone, at least pay for your funeral, instead of your family having to figure out where they're going to get their money from. Anyways, let me not even go there with it, because I started to get passionate about certain things. I can talk about a bunch of stuff. Joe, shouts out to Joe. Discernment is applied to self, passion to reveal. Listen, if you all aren't following Joe Simmons, and I'm hoping that he gets on Facebook very, very soon. Definitely has an excellent framework. And check this out. Me and Joe do a show on Facebook Live, and I might start switching this over to straight YouTube, but right now we're doing it on Facebook Live, 6:30 to the Community Beacon. Right now we're doing a segment on marriages and marital relationships. I don't know nothing about it, so because I'm doing work in that area, so I'm sitting back with Joe, and I get to listen and get to ask him questions. You know, I know he right now I'm getting this free counseling. I get to ask as many questions as possible. Although the brother's always been there for me anyways. But long story short, 6:30 Friday, Community Beacon. You all come check in. But yeah, so the brother was talking to me, the young man, the older man was talking to me about insurance, but because it wasn't glamorous, I decided not to get into it because my ego and my mindset wasn't right. I'm operating at a lower frequency. It wasn't glamorous enough. I'm thinking about flipping. Here I am talking about getting into flipping real estate. That's what my mindset was on. And then I got into real estate and figured out the flipping is not even really where you make the money at for the most part. Not at this juncture. At the time when I got in, there's a time and a place for everything. But Uncle Sam and these capital gains, I'm curious to know how people gonna be doing all this flipping with what's this Sleepy Joe in the office, White House right now. Because he's trying to tax all your money, so I guess you gotta flip it right back into the business. You're not taking it home, but we'll figure it out, right? Because we understand that we take good counsel when it comes to taxes. But long story short, I wanted the glamorous life. So if your mindset's not right, you get yourself going and doing certain businesses that aren't profitable. And you know a bunch of people that just run around with business cards. Keep it, sir. Me and Elijah used to play games with people's business cards from I forget what that and it's not Vistaprint. Some of y'all got some really nice business cards, but not a really nice business. Business should have profits. Especially now, because you can have some businesses that have very, very low overhead. They might not be glamorous. They're not going to be something that you're on, and they could if you have the correct personality for it. But for the most part, a lot of the people who are making money aren't necessarily that boastful with it. We're not on Instagram showing off everything, right? Anywho, at the end of the day, I hope you all took something from this. I went longer than I thought I was going to go, but it's because of you all's engagement. So I appreciate you all checking in and liking it. Like I said, share this, tell someone about it. Maybe this can spark something in someone's mind, and we all can get to the same place. We don't want to go to this. I mean, we will, but it's greater when we go there together. That's what we need, so that we can show the next generation that we actually can come together unified and do it. But we have to put a lot of these things, we have to start working on a lot of these different things. We have to get our mindset together. We have to get, as Joel calls it, grounds, right? He calls it grounds. We have to do our prep work. We have to prep ourselves in order to start moving forward, right? Don't get too deep into the weeds. Like all of us have been indoctrinated with something. Don't get too deep into the weeds. Just start simple. Don't make it too hard. I'm here for you guys, man. I love you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for checking in. I will see you. Please come in and check us out on Friday for this marital relationship talk that we're having. We're going to get into the 4 C's. Like I said, Joel will be talking about it. As of course, with me, you can always check me out on Instagram. You can check me out on, of course, you're on my Facebook now. Instagram is Michael Seville Real Estate. Schedule some consultations. Let's talk about real estate, man. Stop letting these people tell you, who probably don't own any property anyways. Stop letting these people tell you that, oh, the prices are too high. A lot of people don't even know what they're talking about. The prices, but people are still buying and selling. Every successful person that was every successfully financial person I knew that I consider financially successful, that I knew in the last 18 months have traded or refinanced some type of real estate. The money's too cheap. The money's too cheap. So, and including myself. So just to let you all know that. So if you're thinking about doing it, just go ahead and do it. Those same people who are telling you not to do it don't do anything anyways. I guarantee it. Ask them why they didn't buy a house in between 2010 and 2014 or 15, even 15. Shoot, 16, 17. Why didn't they buy a house in the last 12 years? Because the market was at its lowest. You could have got a four bedroom, 3 bathroom and an HOA. Matter of fact, in Thousand Oaks, like $150,000, $240,000. Why didn't you buy those properties then? They weren't doing anything. Then they'll never do anything. They are renters for life. They will not, or they're waiting on someone to die where they can, which is cool too, I guess. But listen, let's talk about real estate. Let's see how we can get ourselves correct in order to move forward. That's what it is. We're in a great reset. This is the great reset. Let's start making these moves. Love you guys. I will see you all on Friday, man, 6:30.